The 9 RX 830 rolls out of the Waterloo factory in Iowa wearing a sticker that would have sounded like a typo 10 years ago. Around 830 engine horsepower, 4 tracks, a Cummins X15 under the hood because John Deere finally admitted their own 13.6 liter couldn't quite carry that class alone. A price tag that, once you spec it with the SF-RTK receiver, the dual displays, the premium activation bundles, and a set of camso belts wide enough to float over spring ground. Lands somewhere a row crop operator never thought he'd see on a piece of equipment that doesn't have a title and a foundation under it. Deere has owned this conversation since 1837, since John Deere himself bent that self-scouring steel plow in Grand Detour, Illinois, and the green paint has earned its place. Nobody serious argues that. The dealer network out of Moline, the parts availability, the resale on a clean 8R with reasonable hours, the way an operations center file syncs to the cab without a fight most mornings, that's real, and any farmer who's tried to run mixed colors across a section knows it. But something shifted. Around 2018, the right to repair fight stopped being a forum argument and turned into attorneys general letters, Federal Trade Commission reports. Finally, a memorandum of understanding signed in January 2023 between Deere and the American Farm Bureau Federation that was supposed to open up repair tools to farmers. It didn't, not really. By January 2025, the FTC filed suit against Deere in the Northern District of Illinois, alleging the company unlawfully restricted independent repair on its tractors and combines. Colorado had already passed its ag right to repair law in 2023. The conversation about a $900,000 tractor isn't really a conversation about steel and horsepower anymore. It's a conversation about who owns the machine after the check clears. If a row crop operator is reading the same invoice, quietly doing the math on a versatile Ford WD out of Winnipeg or a Fendt 1100 Vario MT out of Jackson, Minnesota, hit subscribe, because this channel is built for the people actually sitting in the seat at 2 a.m. during planting. Start with what the sticker actually buys. The 9RX 830 is a genuinely impressive machine E23 transmission, ProDrive on the smaller siblings, a cab that's quieter than most pickups, auto track correcting inside an inch with the SF-RTK signal, and a hitch that'll pull a 4-row planter through cold gumbo without flinching. The engineering team in Waterloo didn't phone this in. The tracks ride on a bogie system that genuinely reduces compaction compared to duals, and on heavy ground in central Illinois. The Red River Valley, that matters more every year as tile bills climb and yield maps start showing the headland compression in red. Deere also pushed the integration further than anyone. JD Link telemetry, the Gen 4 display, See and Spray Ultimate on the sprayer side, the whole operations center stack. For an operation already running green, the data continuity is real and it's not nothing. The problem is what comes attached. A new 9RX rolls off the lot with software locks on functions that used to be wrench work. Swap a failed sensor on a DEF system. The tractor wants a dealer laptop with service AD visor to clear the code before it'll come off limp mode. Replace a hydraulic pump, and the machine may need a payload calibration that, until very recently, no independent shop could legally access. Farmers in Nebraska and Montana have been talking about this since the original Vice article back in 2017. The one where guys were buying cracked Ukrainian firmware off forums just to keep planting. That story didn't die. It grew. PERG put out repair scorecards. Nebraska's right to repair bill LB 543 got introduced, installed, and got reintroduced. The Copyright Office carved out Digital Millennium Copyright Act exemptions for ag equipment back in 2015 and renewed them. Deere's response was a license agreement that, in the read of the FTC complaint filed the 15th of January 2025, essentially walked the exemption back through contract law. That's the first territory. The machine is brilliant. The leash is the problem. Now, sit in the cab for a minute. It's the third week of April, somewhere north of Story City, Iowa. The ground finally fit. An operator who's been waiting since the second week of March has a 40-hour planting window before the next system rolls through. The tractor throws a code. Not a catastrophic one, a sensor, a regen issue, something a competent diesel hand could have diagnosed with a scanner and a parts run in 2005. The dealer is 2 hours out, the service truck is booked 3 deep, and the next opening is Thursday. Every farmer reading this knows what Thursday means in April. Thursday means the rain comes Wednesday night. Thursday means a half-planted field and a yield hit you'll see in October. The physical sensation of sitting in a $900,000 cab that won't move. A software handshake hasn't happened is a specific kind of helpless that older operators didn't have to feel. The machine is fine. The machine is perfect. The machine is also bricked. That feeling, that's what built the alternative market. Not nostalgia for old iron, though there's plenty of that. Sale barns from Polk City to Lubbock have watched clean 8,430S and 9,620S from the late 90S. Early 2000s pull money that doesn't make sense on paper because those tractors still respond to a wrench and a service manual. Mecum and Almond Auctions out of Nokomis, Illinois have run sales where pre-emissions Deeres bring premiums over machines 15 years newer. That's not a collector market. That's working farmers voting with cashier's checks. Meanwhile, Versatile, building 4 WDs in Winnipeg since the hydraulic engineering company days back in 1966, kept their machines mechanically straightforward on purpose. Buhler bottom, then Rosselmash, and through all of it, the pitch stayed the same. A tractor a farmer can actually fix. Fendt, owned by AGCO since 1997, brought the 1100 Vario MT to Jackson, Minnesota with a different bet premium build, premium price, but a different software philosophy and a dealer culture that grew out of Marktoberdorf, Germany rather than Moline. Then there's the quiet one. Kubota, out of Osaka since 1890, has been creeping up the horsepower ladder year after year, and while they're not in the 800 horse class yet, the M8 at 210 horsepower is showing up on Midwestern operations that swore they'd never run orange. The reason isn't horsepower, it's the invoice and the repair conversation. The third territory is where this gets heavy. The decision to lock down repair didn't happen in a tractor cab. It happened in a boardroom, and the math behind it is brutal in its honesty. A 2021 analysis that circulated widely and that Deere has disputed suggested that parts service make up something close to half of the company's equipment margin. Whether the exact figure is right or not, the strategic direction is documented in Deere's own investor presentations: recurring revenue, software-enabled services, the smart industrial operating model rolled out in 2020. The tractor isn't the product anymore. The tractor is the platform. The product is everything that runs on top of it for the next 15 years. The activation keys, the subscription tiers, the dealer-only diagnostics, the Starfire signal subscriptions, the Operations Center premium features. A farmer in 1975 bought a 4,440 and owned it. A farmer in 2025 buys a 9RX and licenses it. The paper says purchase. The functional reality says lease with extra steps. That's the room where the price tag got written, not the engineering floor in Waterloo. The strategy deck in Moline, the FTC complaint filed in January 2025, names this directly. The states of Illinois and Minnesota joined. The allegation is that Deere monopolized the repair services market for its own large agricultural equipment in violation of Section 2 of the Sherman Act. Section 5 of the FTC Act, Deere has pushed back, pointed to the customer service advisor tool they've made available, pointed to the 2023 MOU. The independent repair shops and the farmers who've actually tried to use those tools tell a different story, and that story is now in front of a federal judge. Whatever happens with the case, the trust has already moved. You can feel it at every coffee shop from Indiana to the Dakotas. The conversation has changed. 5 years ago, switching colors was a conversation about loyalty. Now it's a conversation about sovereignty. And the used market is screaming it. Tractor House listings for low-hour 8R and 9R machines built before the heaviest software locks roughly 2013. Earlier on the emissions side, hold value in a way new equipment depreciation curves don't predict. Auctioneers in Greeley, Colorado and Bloomfield, Iowa have noticed it. A 2012 9,560R with 4,000 hours in clean records pulls money that a 2019 with the same hours can't always match, because the 2012 still belongs to whoever's writing the check. None of this means Deere is finished. Far from it. The Waterloo plant will keep building tractors. The Harvester Works in East Moline will keep building S-Series, X-Series combines, and the dealer network Sloan implement across central Illinois. RDO equipment across the plains, Greenway across Iowa and Missouri will keep moving iron because the green is genuinely good. The support infrastructure took 188 years to build, and nobody else has it at that scale. The 9RX 830 will sell. It'll sell to big operations who can absorb the dealer dependency, who have the acres to justify the data stack, who'd rather pay the premium than manage a mixed fleet. That's a real customer, and they're not wrong to buy it. But the row crop operator running 2,000 acres in southern Minnesota, the family operation in eastern Nebraska that's been green since Grandpa, the custom harvester running a string of machines from Texas to Saskatchewan. Those guys are doing math they didn't have to do 10 years ago, and the answer keeps coming back the same. The tractor isn't the price, the contract is. A new John Deere costs more than most homes because Deere figured out how to sell the house and keep the keys. Whether the courts force those keys back into the farmer's pocket is the question the next planting season gets to answer. If this is the conversation happening in your shop, in your cab, at your kitchen table after the markets close, hit subscribe. This channel is written for the operators still doing their own wrenching. The next one digs into which alternative platforms are actually holding up in the field. Before we close the book on this one, there's more worth saying, because the price tag on a 9RX 830 doesn't exist in a vacuum. The people defending it have arguments that deserve a fair hearing. Let's walk through them. Start with the labor side. In 1975, a 150 horsepower tractor with a cab, air conditioning, and a radio was considered a luxury machine. The operator climbed in at sunrise, climbed out at sunset, and the seat was a vinyl bench that left your back wrecked by Thursday. Today's 9RX has a heated and cooled leather seat with active suspension, a refrigerator compartment, a sound system tuned by engineers in Waterloo, and a cab quiet enough to take a phone call at full throttle. The displays there are typically 4 of them: the G5 Plus command center, the Starfire receiver readout, the implement controller, and a 4th screen for auto-track guidance overlays give the operator more information than the bridge of a small ship. That stuff costs money to engineer, money to certify, money to support. Deere's defenders will tell you that comparing a 199-58400 at $115,000 to a 2024 9RX 830 at $1.1 million is comparing a flip phone to a satellite uplink, and they're not entirely wrong. Emissions compliance is the other piece nobody talks about at the coffee shop, but every engineer in Waterloo and Moline thinks about every day. The Environmental Protection Agency's Tier 4 final standard, which took full effect in 2015, requires off-road diesel engines above 174 horsepower to cut particulate matter by 90% and nitrogen oxides by roughly 80% compared to Tier 3. Meeting that meant selective catalytic reduction systems, diesel exhaust fluid tanks, diesel particulate filters, exhaust gas recirculation, and a control architecture sophisticated enough to keep all of it balanced under load. Industry estimates from the Association of Equipment Manufacturers put the per unit cost of Tier 4 compliance at somewhere between $30,000, $50,000 on a high horsepower tractor, and that's just the hardware. The software, the sensors, the warranty exposure when a DEF injector fails in February at minus 10 inches North Dakota, all of that gets baked into the sticker. Then there's steel. Hot rolled coil steel, the stuff a tractor frame is essentially made of, traded around $600 per ton in early 2020. By the summer of 2021, it had peaked above $1,900 per ton. It's settled since, but the 2024 average is still nearly double the pre-pandemic baseline. A 9RX uses somewhere between 18,000 and 22,000 pounds of steel, depending on configuration. Do the arithmetic, and you're looking at $8,000 to $12,000 in raw material cost increase per machine just from the metal before you add a single bolt or wire harness. Copper followed the same curve. Semiconductors during the worst of the 2021 and 2022 shortages were being air freighted from Taiwan at costs that would have made a 1990s purchasing manager faint. Labor at Deere's own plants tells the same story. The October 2021 strike by UAW, local 838 inches, Waterloo. The other Deere locals, roughly 10,000 workers, walked off the job for 35 days, ended with a contract that raised wages 8% to 10% immediately. Added cost of living adjustments through 2027, Chris Lorson, the local 838 president at the time, made the point publicly that Deere's record profits could absorb the raises, and he was right. Deere posted $7.1 billion in net income for fiscal 2022 and $10.2 billion for fiscal 2023, but those labor costs don't evaporate. They show up in the invoice, the dealer hands the farmer. So the steelman's argument, fairly stated, goes like this. You're not paying for a tractor, you're paying for a Tier 4 final compliant GPS corrected, telematics equipped, union built, leather cabbed mobile data platform with a 1.6 liter engine and a warranty backed by the largest service network in agriculture. And every line item on that list has a real cost behind it. The counter argument, the one the Minnesota row cropper makes at the kitchen table, is simpler. He doesn't disagree that the machine is more capable. He disagrees that the capability is worth the contract. He'd take a Tier 3, mechanically injected, no screen, no subscription tractor in a heartbeat if anyone still built one at scale. The fact that nobody does isn't an accident. It's the consequence of 40 years of regulatory tightening, consolidation that left him with 3 brands to choose from and a financing department on speed dial,